Hi. What's up, everyone? I'm already laughing at JoJo's comment. Let me say hi to everyone. I see Debbie, JoJo, Hot Mess. I don't know if you're still here. Bun Bun, Tipsy. JoJo says no pity for Diddy. Absolutely not. Hi, beautiful Augie. Thanks for making it. All right, big news. Yes, you've already heard it. It's been everywhere on the YouTubes today. P. Diddy being arrested. We saw it coming a long time ago. I kind of grew up with listening to Diddy, so in the 90s. So I'm not shocked after the Cassie stuff that, happened with her and the abuse. He is not out on bond if you haven't caught up on that. So he is currently incarcerated. We have the indictment. A lot of people have read it. I was listening to it with the lab earlier. And then I know Lawyer had it on earlier. I know 𝐒𝐤𝐝𝐿's had it on earlier. So I kind of was listening to a little bit of it everywhere, but I just want to read through it. I'm a pretty fast reader, so I know if you've been here before, we've read a lot of legal documents. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. So we're gonna read this document together. It's pretty intense. If you have followed this case, then you kind of know what's already coming. So let's just get right into it. Hi, Patronus. I'm seeing Patronus pop in here. Hello. Okay, I hope you feel better. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. Hi, Randy. Hi, Stella. Stella, you said you're shocked to see that he, like all the stuff in the affidavit, or that he's arrested and they didn't give him bond? I know he's very wealthy and powerful, so I thought for sure he would get the bond. He put up like 50 mil or something. I'm like, wow. Wow. Yeah, let's hope a naughty mouse, definitely. Let's get started because I do want to go over to my girl Jay's channel. So let's get started. You already knew that was coming. You did. Let's see. Okay. So it says, one thing I did notice was it's just United States of America versus Sean Combs and then all his aliases. So I was a little surprised to see one of the charges be racketeering, because I feel like there should be more people involved. No? Or yes? Do you agree? Oh, Stella says, shocked that I caught you live. I know I usually do them a little later in the day, but I wanted to cover this. And I might be doing another live later because there's a lot of cases that I just recently got documents to. I went on a binge and just requested a bunch of them and paid for a bunch of them. And so I have to sort through them and prepare my lives. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. But let's get started. Thanks for being here, Stella. So it says for decades, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, aka Love, the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes: sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. 2. Combs, the defendant, operated his business, headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles, under a variety of the United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, Combs Global, Combs Business, corporate entities in the Combs business, and included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. So those are all his assets that are involved in this. At the times relevant to the indictment, Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of the pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial CX workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial workers to fly to Combs locations. He ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same and use intimidation and violence. Number 4, physical abuse by Combs was reoccurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions, from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among many other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was not also limited to these women, extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. I mean, we already knew this, but this document is hot. If you guys know who that's in reference to, the video in the hotel, that's Cassie. My heart goes out to her. She's strong. I think she's a lot of the reason why people are willing to speak out after the fact. Let's move on. Combs used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. These employees included security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and other close associated acted at Combs intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the business. For at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing indictment, defendant and others, known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. I'm curious. Others known and unknown. Who might that be? Number 7, the Combs enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18 U.S. Code, that is a group of individuals associated, in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs enterprise consisted of Combs, the defendant, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, and Combs Global, individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business, and others known and unknown. I'm no lawyer, but that's obviously saying there's lots of others involved, which we do know. Well, we don't, allegedly, but I mean, I'm assuming. after the Cassie situation. And then there's the Dan Eddie Kane situation and that recent news that came out with Don filing a lawsuit against him. But let's move on. The Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs Enterprise. The Combs Enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Combs Enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. 9. At times relevant to this indictment, defendant was the leader of the Combs Enterprise. Number 10. The defendant and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprise affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees such as members of the Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. By high-ranking supervisors, is that heads of record companies? If you know, you know. Let's move on. Purpose of the Combs Enterprise. 11. The purposes of the Combs Enterprise included the following. A. Operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcohol spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. B. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of the Sean Combs, the defendant, a musician and entrepreneur, how do you say that word? Entrepreneur and a figure in the entertainment industry. C. Enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leaders, Combs, and its particular who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. Loyalty to him and willing to conceal his crimes. D. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of the Combs Enterprise, including the power of its leaders, Diddy, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, and sexual abuse. E. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial sex workers. F. Enabling Combs and other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including sex violence, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics distribution, and other crimes, and concealing the commission of such acts. Securing absolute loyalty for members of the Combs Enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats. H. Protecting the Combs Enterprise and its members and associates, including Combs, from the detection and prostitution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witness the crimes committed by members and associates of the enterprise. The means and methods of the enterprise. I'm going to check in with you guys. This is wild. You guys feel the same? Hey, Gracie. I see you in there. Hey, we are eBay. Hey, Sunshine. Yeah, this is insanity. Hi, beautiful Wednesday. Yes, Augie. Nasty Diddy dirty boy. This is not a laughing matter, but I'm laughing at your comments. So I just want to clear that up. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so yeah, methods and means of the enterprise. Among the means and methods by which Sean, the defendant, and other members of the associates of the Combs Enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs Enterprise included the following. A. Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. During these freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victim obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of the victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. To each their own, but I'm just disgusted with this man. Like, and to think he was like hanging out with a lot of the artists that we know, right? That we listened to when we were like younger. Let's move on. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise included high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees. Facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial sex workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of his residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. I know there's like memes, and it's wild out there with this whole baby bottle lubricant thing. Why you would need so much, I'm very concerned. But I mean, it could have been over a long period of time. Who knows? Who freaking knows, right? It's wild. I've listened to it today in other chats and been like, that have been flying. So it's nice to kind of like actually sit here and like take it all in. Wednesday says, Melly, no shade to other creators, but it's refreshing for someone to have a high reading comprehension who knows word pronunciations. Thank you, Wednesday. I appreciate that very much. Okay, let's move on. C. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victims' appearances, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. Victims believed they could not refuse his demands without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating records that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure that continued obedience and to ensure continued obedience and silence of the victims. That's rough. D. Members and associates of the enterprise, including Combs' security personnel, at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of his residence in Miami, Florida, and LA, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. I just have to say, like, RICO charges, those were initially started for the mob, right? And this is like wild because he's a monster. And I feel for these people who have been emotionally hurt and physically hurt as well. Like, my heart goes out to them. All the workers as well. No one should be judged by what they do. So, with that being said, like, I hope that they're okay. And they were just victims as well, in my opinion. Let's move on. I'm on the right page. I want to make sure I'm not cutting you guys off. So I think I went one ahead. Okay. Members and associates of the enterprise enabled Combs control over victims by following his direction regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of the enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations, such as hotels or his residences. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries he inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of the enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. I agree, Wednesday. Many full sex workers are very intelligent and politically active. Right. And that's what I'm saying is like they were, victims of this monster as well. Like, I feel like it's so sad. When employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following the public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events and effort to conceal the crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. He's a piece of work. Wow. Wow. Hello, Mr. Meaner. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Hey, Fuzz. Is that how you say it? I hope so. If not, let me know. Let's move on. This is very terrifying, this document. And then, like I said, the racketeering conspiracy, again, there has to be others involved, question mark. Wednesday, my friend charges 800 and gets flown out. I believe that, actually. I really do believe that. Number 13, from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States, to wit, Title 18, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is defined in Title 18 in the U.S. Code, Section 1961. So if in case you want to look that code up. This is wild. A, multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of, California Penal Code. B, multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions of Penal Code 451, arson. Attempt, aiding and abetting, conspiracy. C, multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the provisions of State Law Penal Code 137, and then Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting in California Penal Code 182, conspiracy again. That comes up again. D, multiple acts indictable under Title 18 relating to tampering with a witness, victim, or informant. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18, 1589 and 2 relating to forced labor. So I know everyone has been hearing on the YouTubes, this whole thing is crazy, forced labor. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18, 1591 and 2 related to sex trafficking. Multiple acts entitled under Code 2421 relating to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities, and multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxycodone, alprazolam, methyl-doxymethamphetamine, 4-bromo dimethylphenylate, gamma hydroxypuric acid, and ketamine in the violation of Title 21 U.S. Code sections 846, distribution and possession with the intent to distribute, and conspiracy to do the same, aiding and abetting, and willfully causing. 14, it was part of the conspiracy that Sean Combs, the defendant, agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 of the racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise. Wild. So clearly there it states definitely others were involved. That a conspirator would commit at least 2 of the racketeering activity. Lily, beautiful Lily, you made it. Hi, I'm so happy you made it. I appreciate you. Stella says, I'm not sure about anything other than P. Diddy, whatever, is a scumbag. If he forced a girl to do anything, exactly. It's either yes or no, right? Bumbasinski's easier to say the laws he didn't break. Right, right. Sunshine says this Combs politically connected. Yeah, oh yeah. He's huge. He's a major like billionaire mogul celebrity involved with everyone and anything in the rap community, I feel like. Do I have you guys on the right page? I want to make sure you guys can see it. Okay, I think I got you guys on the right page. This is wild. Notice of sentencing factor, of special sentencing factor. 15. From at least in or about 2009 up to including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, the defendant agreed to, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact the means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in the Title 18 code, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in commercial sex act in violation of Title 18. This is crazy. We Are eBay says it's about the sex parties, the freak offs. You know, they've been going on since like the 90s, and who knows prior to that. So I feel for all these people, and Cassie specifically. You know, I wonder how she's feeling today, but I'm so proud that she spoke out. I love her. I love her music. I think she's beautiful. Lily, thank you for stopping by again. I know you're busy working. After hearing Usher talk about him to Howard Stern, I knew it was a matter of time. Well, if you guys follow Cat Williams and Jaguar, the female Jaguar, you would know that they've been speaking on Diddy for days. Speaking facts, Cat Williams too. I'm gonna go back and watch those later tonight because, I mean, we already knew, but to see this finally, I didn't think it would happen when it did. I knew it was a matter of time, but I was still surprised. Let's move on. Count two, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. The grand jury further charges from or at least in about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York, the defendant in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce knowingly. Didn't I just read this? Transported, obtain. I did. My bad. I did just read that. Sorry. I'm like, this sounds familiar. Well, let us know Wednesday. Not me being distracted, right? I had already read that, or am I losing it? You're like, Melly, get it together, Melly. We come here to watch you and you can't even get it together. I'm trying, all right? I'm trying. Don't come for me. Everybody's been coming for me. Let's talk about it on Melly After Dark later. I was supposed to do Melly After Dark last night, but someone I modded for was on late and I wanted to be there to support. Did I read that part? Yeah. Person to engage in willfully cause wits. Yeah, it basically says victim one to engage in commercial sex act known in reckless disregard of the victim one was engaging in commercial sex acts as a result of fraud, coercion, and force. What's even stuff? Melly and stuff, that's why you meant I know. Yeah. Let's move on. Count three, transportation to engage in prostitution. The grand jury further charges in about 2009 up to 2024 in the Southern District of New York, the defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that the individual engage in prostitution and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. 18. Forfeiture allegations. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count one of this indictment, Combs, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant Code 1963 and any and all interests the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18, any and all interests and securities of claims against and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defendant established, operated, and controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of, in violation to Code 1962, and any and all property constituting and derived from the proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, including but not limited to the sum of money in the United States currency representing the amounts of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Wow. Yeah, he was like not paying people, and I know that he used to work the girls in Danity Kane for like 4 days, not let him like eat or drink or something, and they'd be like dehydrated. I'm just like, what the heck? Let's move on. We're almost done here. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count two of this indictment, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States pursuant Code 1594 and all property, real and personal, involved in, used or intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of said offense, and any and all property traceable to property, and any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from the proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, included but not limited. Did I just read that? I did. I'm sorry, guys. As a result of the committing offense. That's wild, though. So all the money that he used to bribe people and the money he didn't pay people back, like when the whole Danity Kane thing was going on, I wonder if he's going to, because I know they haven't, some of them haven't actually filed a lawsuit against him that still can. So I wonder if they're gonna like make him pay like everybody back. Or if that's gonna have to be like probably a civil suit individually for everyone, right? Oh, this is gonna be crazy. The trial, the appeals, everything, all of that. Okay, let's finish. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3 of this indictment, the defendant shall forfeit any and all property constituting or derived from proceeds obtained indirectly or indirectly that was used to or intended to be used to commit the commission of said offense. Any and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, including but not limited to the United States currency. Was that a repeat? Sounded like it. Substitute assets provision. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or commission of the defendant. A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence. B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person. C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court. D, has been substantially diminished in value. Or E, has been commingled with other properties which cannot be subdivided without difficulty. It is the intent of the U.S. To pursue code and gives you all these codes to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of the above forfeitable property. And then it's signed. I don't know what that means. I'm not a lawyer, but he's screwed. Well, we know he didn't get bond, so he's gonna have to go to jail. I know there's something going on tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. I'm not sure what time zone that is, but we got through it. The 14 pages. I know I read fast. I probably don't even know if you could understand it most of the time. I hope so. We got through it in like 30 minutes. I'm impressed. Wednesdays or Sunshine says if he had to pay all that he owes, he'd be a poor man. I mean, with this, who knows? Maybe a lot of victims will come out still and he'll have more, even more civil suits than he did before, you know? Augie says that he pleaded not guilty. After the whole Cassie thing, I'm like, how could you even plead not guilty? Like the racketeering and stuff. I don't know. I feel like there's, you know, obviously other celebrities and rappers and people involved. So I'm curious how that's all going to play out. Sunshine says, I want his assets. His lawyers will get a huge share. Oh, yeah. And like the bond, he had put up like a house that was like 48 million. And then his mom's house was like 2 million. And that was going to be like the bond. And I'm like, really? 2 properties? No, absolutely not. I'm glad he didn't get it because I feel like everybody deserves justice. And if you follow like the Diddy stuff and the Tupac stuff, you know, that whole thing is kind of related. And I just wanted to point out that on 9/13 was Tupac's anniversary of his death, and then Diddy was arrested on 9/16. So fairly close. I thought that was interesting. Not that it means anything to some of you. I just thought it was interesting. He's a billionaire. I think he will exhaust them with the expensive representation. I don't know. I don't know how that will play out. I'm assuming maybe they want other people to be held responsible, so they might be able to, Diddy might be able to have some leverage there, but I feel like these charges are pretty major, right? But then again, he's like a billionaire and millionaire. And do I know who his lawyer is? Did it say it at the beginning of the document? Let me go back. Oh, interesting. No, it doesn't. I figured it might. I don't know who it is, but that's a good question. I saw him today on the when he did like the little press conference. I'm trying to see if I can find his name. Oh, is it Mark Agnifilo? Yes. I think that's who it is. If I'm wrong, sorry guys, but that's what Google said. That's what the Google said. Wednesday, it's not what we say. Yeah. He must have messed with the wrong people. I don't know who was messing with Diddy, but if they did something with Diddy, I don't know. That's tough. But I mean, these people again are celebrities and have millions, right? They can probably allegedly he knew this was coming, so they prepared him for it, which I think is ridiculous. How are you gonna be federally charged and they're gonna give you a heads up? um, so I don't know. I'm curious to see. This is gonna be intense. But we went over the document. I know everybody has been showing it on the YouTubes. I just wanted to come here and read it through, and then I will be back later in a few hours with either another true crime live or a Melly After Dark. Yeah, that was 14 pages. I know. I kind of sped through it, but that's what I wanted to do because I've been reading it on other channels and like there's been a lot of commentary and a lot of like conversation, which is nice. That's why I'm there. But I wanted to just read it to get a real good understanding of it. And like, of course, we're going to be seeing the trials and press conferences and interviews and people speaking out. Yeah, racketeering, sex trafficking, arson. Who knows what else? I feel like other people will speak out. If not, they're in the process of probably getting a civil lawyer if they're ready to speak out, which I hope people do. You know, everyone deserves justice. And I feel like that's traumatic if you witnessed a lot of what he did to Cassie and other females. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. We are eBay, Wednesday, Stella, Jojo, Tipsy, Sunshine. It was a small crowd, but I kind of like that because it makes me less nervous when I'm reading these documents. Even though it's fine, I'm comfortable with reading because I love it, but still, and Gracie. Did I say Gracie? And then, like I said, I'll see you guys back later for another true crime or Melly After Dark. Let's see what we are. Eva says, thanks, Melly. It's good to be friends. Reviewing this information, I would agree. It was supposed to see this. Yeah, it was. I saw it really early in the morning. And then I know I'm going to be modding in a little bit for another channel that might be, Pascal might be showing the documents as well. So I wanted to make sure I like did my thing so we can all support him over there because his shows are great and he's always has a ton of people over there. Yes, go over to Jace. I'll see you guys there because I'm gonna be there as well. She's going over Maddie Soda stuff. In that case, oh my gosh, also there's so much stuff I can't even keep up. It's like overwhelming. I'm like all these audio calls and I think there might be some kind of legal documents too that are gonna be coming out or something. And honestly, I did some like researching for a few days in a row on some cases that kind of like the Campos case that aren't talked about a lot, and some are. And I like went and contacted like all the courts for all the legal documents. I went like binged out on the sending requests and stuff. I literally did like hours and hours of it, and it paid off because my email, it was like 28 requests that had been already looked at. So I got some more autopsies. I got some audio calls that I'm working on getting. They're very expensive, but they would be so cool to review. And I haven't seen them out yet. And there's another case. I got some court documents, and then I think I got a couple autopsies. So I'm gonna be doing more true crime, and then Melly After Dark. Yes, I will be back tonight for Melly After Dark. I was supposed to come back last night, but I ended up modding. Thank you, Sunshine, for being here. I appreciate you guys. Gracie says, thank you, Melly. This was all news to me. Oh, I know. You were telling me, like, I don't know if Diddy's popular out there or not, but he's huge out here in the rap game. He was married to J-Lo? J-Lo. What's up, J-Lo? Where you at? Because we need to talk. There's a lot. I'm not judging her. She could be a victim as well, but I know there was like a whole thing where she was carrying a pew pew for him and that went to court, but it was shut down allegedly. But she was with him for a while. So I hope she speaks out if she was a victim as well. But I know that's hard being a celebrity like that. Anyways, thanks for being here, you guys. I will see you on the next one.